Malcolm, the king's steward, returned to his private chamber and let out a weary sigh. It had been a long, tiresome day, and he was dreadfully sleepy. The other servants had no idea how hard he laboured. They all believed that being the king's steward was an easy wagon ride. They thought it was all bowing and nodding and presenting drinks and messages to his majesty. None of them had any notion of the effort it took maintaining such a high level of poise and decorum, not to mention dignity, at every hour from dawn till bedtime. Malcolm raised his candle before his full-length looking-glass, taking some comfort in his reflection. Even by his own standards, he was an undeniably beautiful man. Dressed in a maroon doublet and stylish cape, a feathered cap sat upon his rich chestnut hair, smoothly combed and bobbed beneath a delicate chin. He was by far the most elegant man at court, but that mattered little. He was only suited to looking a pretty part, rather than serving a vital function, and that made his efforts feel underappreciated. He had to be constantly seen to be helping in any way he could. Maintaining such a keen appearance was exhausting, and it was near impossible to prove himself a worthy asset to the realm. The truth was, he loved King Kalvern more than anything else in the world, including his own life. He would gladly sacrifice himself at a moment's notice to save the aging monarch. But unless such a situation ever presented itself, how would anyone ever know? To the world's eyes, Malcolm was a glorified fetch and carrier. Castle Norsinow, like the rest of the kingdom, had little use for fops like Malcolm. Although bright, alert, and perceptive, his effeminate nature had forced him into a womanly profession, and every day he cursed the one god for not having made him a lady, whereupon his striking good looks might have been appreciated by the shallow hearts of the world. A distant crash echoed from somewhere in the royal wing. Malcolm shuddered. More likely than not, the corridor window had blown open. The curtains must have billowed and knocked over that wretched suit of armour again. Malcolm gave out a limp sigh. As always, it was left to him to set things right. None of the royal guards were of any help. All they did was stand there like menacing statues, even when it was clear that their assistance was required. The last time that suit of armour fell over, it had nearly killed Malcolm, wrenching it back into upright position. He had strained both of his shoulders and stained his doublet with oil. But did the guards offer any help? No. They just stood there, watching with blank expressions and smirking eyes. Malcolm roused himself from his despondency. He opened the door, but froze at the sight of someone crossing the hallway at the end of the passage. And it wasn't one of the guards. Malcolm blew out his candle, held the door to, and watched in disbelief as a line of dark figures moved like hooded ghosts across the hall. With trembling limbs, Malcolm withdrew into his chamber and held the door shut. Who were these people, and what were they doing in the royal wing at this late hour? Malcolm began to tremble despite himself. None of his answers to those fearful questions brought him any comfort. Hooded men moving about in the dark could mean only dark intentions. Whoever they were, they'd come to do harm to the king, queen, or possibly both of the monarchs of Oromondie.